So we've just crossed the 1 year mark in these pandemic times, and the last year has affected different people in many different ways. And thinking about moving forward, we're all thinking differently about that as well. We wanted to represent three generations in our viewpoints about this idea of moving forward. So I've invited my mom, Penny, and my daughter, Alyssa, to join us in this conversation. We want to talk through what could be next if we turn ourselves over to God. So, Mom and Alyssa, thanks so much for helping me with this today. I have a question for you. So, when you think about this next year, are you using words like getting back to normal or new normal in your thinking? What are you thinking about moving forward?
I think there's some things that are still feel normal. But then there's also things that are not normal. It's a different time, different attitudes. So that is the new normal.
Alyssa, what do you think?
I would agree. I would just add that relationships are going to be part of the new normal. So I don't think we'll backtrack to maybe not those connections that we had pre-quarantine or pre-Zoom meetings. I think those new connections will still stay in place.
Thanks. I think sometimes I enjoy connecting via Zoom. So like right now, this is good. So when I was thinking about this, I went to the Bible to look for groups of people or entire communities that were waiting to get back to normal. And I looked in Jeremiah, and it tells the story of Israel's unwillingness to turn from their idols. And because of that, God allowed the Babylonians to destroy Israel and the temple. And most of the vessels that were in the sanctuary and many of the Jews were carried away to Babylon as slaves for 70 years. So this was a nation and a community that lost their identity and lost their nation. They longed to get back to the way things were. But while they were in captivity, God told those people that they were to build houses and they were to plant gardens. And instead of decreasing, they should marry and increase and prepare for the next time. So that just made me think that we need to recognize that God doesn't always want us to get back to the way things were. He is doing something during this time to awaken all of us, to awaken his people. And we may be in these circumstances for a while, longer than any of us ever thought, at least in some ways. So God's using times like these to challenge us as individuals and to challenge entire communities. I think we've seen a lot of that. By allowing God to refine us, this time has not been wasted. We can be planting our own gardens and filling and building our own houses and filling them with family to find a way forward that may never remind us of the normal we once knew, but in some ways can be better than normal, transformative even. So this idea of normalcy and getting back to it is the old normal the right normal? Alyssa's going to walk us through a little quiz that will help us think about our old normal and the new normal.
So I'm going to read a few of these statements, and if everyone would answer true or false, and then I also encourage everyone listening to this to do the same. Before all this, my communication was less steady than it is now with the people I care about most.
True.
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 We've all talked way more since all this happened. It's been great.
Yes.
Before all this, I didn't spend as much time outside in the fresh air enjoying nature.
That's true for me. Probably not so much for you, Mom, but
It's right. It's I'd like to spend more time outside of it. Maybe
I'd say it's true for me.
Mhm.
I've even found new spots in Omaha. So
Good.
before all this, I didn't take as much time to make my own food and cook with fresher, more basic ingredients.
true.
True to a point. I use what I have in the house, even if it's not in the recipe.
I would say it's true for me as well, especially being at school and having to figure out my own menu. Before all this, when someone asked me how I was doing and I said I was fine, they were good with that answer. And we all just moved on without really knowing how others were doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. I've
Good.
noticed fewer people just ask, how are you doing? It's more specific. How are your kids? Are they in school? How, it's just
Mm-hmm.
getting into more specific conversation.
Right. And I'm
I
looking
think
at for other people too.
I also think I would claim that I was too busy before that to really want to have that conversation anyways. Before all this, I rarely thought about how I might be able to help people with different or more needs than myself in the middle of a time when my own life was under stress, change, and pressure.
Right.
Sometimes it was a good escape to think about other people too. Like, what's one small thing I can do to help someone else? So I can get some perspective. And
I would say I'm in between, just because I think in school and being the age that I am, I have the opportunity to tend to be more selfish, and I have the ability to do that. And so this year has really taught me that other people experience it differently, but I would still say I have to grow in that.
Thank you for those questions. That was really insightful. Interesting to learn your answers. So for many people, the grief because of all of the loss of the last year is really significant. And for them, their normal may be lost forever. But there's hope in finding that new normal. Mom, can you share Hebrews chapter 12, verses 1-3 with us?
Yes. And let us run with perseverance and race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. As you think about your race, what's changed about your life during this time that you don't want to change back to normal? What could your new normal look like?
I think the word race is really interesting because we were just running as fast as we could toward whatever we thought the goal was, and then all running stopped. And it's been really interesting to think more about what's most important. I've loved spending time with our family in a different way, ways that aren't epic or a giant vacation that we took somewhere or some big event we bought tickets for, but in the little moments when we're cooking a meal together or playing a game or just watching the news and thinking, what is going on? And talking about that sometimes those are difficult conversations, but we've shared the laughter, we've shared tears, we've shared and stopped to do that. So I hope that's part of our new normal going forward.
Right. Alyssa, what about you?
Yeah, I would agree with Mom, obviously, since I was a part of the family. I think we've been closer than we ever have before. And not just like, we're a family. It's more so like I can call my parents my friends and my brothers my friends. And I think too, I would say I've learned that success is not how I should define myself or define how great my life is. It's more about the people I surround myself with and the people that I take care of, and that I'm taking care of myself. So I'm really looking forward to continuing that and not being so hyper focused on achieving things, but rather making relationships.
That's great. Yeah, I've learned in the past year, there are opportunities to help other people that I don't even know. And just, see how they're doing and make sure they have what they need. I've had several opportunities to do that. And that was good. But I do love getting together as a family.
Good thing you're stuck with us. Thank you guys for sharing. And I hope those of you listening will have these conversations and ask these questions in your family too. So let's close with a little reminder for ourselves from the Bible, 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 10. And the God of all grace, who called you to his eternal glory in Christ, after you have suffered a little while, will himself restore you and make you strong, firm, and steadfast. We hope all of those things for you. Thanks for watching today, and may peace be with all of you.